Welcome to Newtral Weekly, your quick dive into sustainability stories shaping business and the planet. Here's what we are covering this week: ISO's new ESG implementation principles launched at COP29, India's progress and gaps in corporate sustainability reporting under the BRSR framework, and India's bold demand for $1.3 trillion in climate finance at COP29. If you are new here, follow us for weekly insights that make sustainability simpler. First story: ISO's ESG implementation principle. Big news from COP29. The International Organization for Standardization, that is ISO, has unveiled its ESG implementation principles, a global framework designed to create consistency in how businesses tackle sustainability. Here's why this matters. These principles were developed with input from 1900 experts across 128 countries. They aim to enhance transparency, accountability, and clarity in ESG practices. But what does this mean for business? For one, it's step toward a common language in sustainability, making ESG strategies more measurable and actionable. It's expected to accelerate green practices globally, a big win for transparency and trust. Now, the challenge lies in adoption. As the framework rolls out, the real test will be how quickly businesses align with these principles. Now let's go to the story 2: India's progress on BRSR framework. In India, the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report, or BRSR, is driving corporate accountability like never before. Here are numbers: 96% companies now disclose their energy use, leading to a 13% reduction in consumption. However, only 40% of companies are reporting Scope 3 emissions, those indirect impacts in supply chain emissions and product life cycles. Why does this matter? Scope 3 often represents the largest share of the company carbon footprint. Without comprehensive data, here we are missing a critical piece of the puzzle. India is setting an example for emerging markets, but the gap in Scope 3 reporting shows that there's more work to be done. Companies need to step up because tackling indirect emission is like a key to global sustainability progress. Let's go to the third story: India's bold climate finance demand at COP29. $1.3 million in climate finance every year by 2030 from developed nations. Here's the context: wealthy nations had pleaded $100 billion annually by 2020 to help developing countries transition to greener economies. But so far they have been fallen short. India's demand highlight a critical imbalance. Climate action can't succeed without adequate support for vulnerable countries. The $1.3 trillion request underscores the scale of what needed, not just mitigation, but for adaptation and resilience in regions already bearing the brunt of climate impacts. This is a wake up call for the weather nations. If financing doesn't match the crisis, the global fight against climate will change, remain uneven. And that's where we leave it this week. From ISO's ESG framework to India's trillion-dollar climate finance demand, one thing is clear: sustainability isn't a goal, it's their work we all share. Until next week, stay curious, stay neutral.